Alrighty, everybody.
All right.
Welcome back to
Well,
another episode of Before the Break. Today, we are so excited to meet our guest. He is a rising star in the world of television. You've seen him as a recurring character on New Amsterdam and Instinct, as well as appearing on FBI, Blue Bloods, Chicago PD, and Gotham, just to name a few. Please welcome Alejandro Hernandez. Hey,
wow.
man.
Hey guys, what's going on?
How are you?
So
I'm great, bro. I'm great. I'm currently right now. I'm quarantined right now. In
yeah. We
Toronto.
all have been, man. We've all been quarantined. It's not a new thing.
But I'm double vaxxed.
No, but you're
I'm
actually quarantined.
Yeah,
Right. Because Canada has some. We have a wedding coming up, and one of the bridesmaids is coming from Canada. When she gets home, she has to quarantine for 2 weeks.
Yeah, man.
It's nuts.
Yeah,
Oh my
dude.
It's nuts.
God.
I've been fully vaxxed for over a month at this point, and I had to go in like they don't care. Like, if you're like a non-Canadian person, you have to still do it.
Yeah.
And it's just so
Oh
annoying.
my God.
I've been in this apartment. I mean, granted, this apartment's pretty nice, but it's pretty
Yeah, I
big,
like your
but-
digs there.
Yeah, man. I got a Sean Connor, a random Sean.
I love
Connor
that.
in the back. It's
For
him with
our
the-
listeners, he's got this beautiful, this painting of Sean Connery.
Yeah, is that
Behind you
Don?
on your right.
Connor.
Very nice.
Yeah. it's
And
pretty
so,
cool.
Alejandro, you're up there working, right?
Yeah, man. So we haven't worked yet, but just I'm currently working on. I can only disclose so much, but
Totally.
I'm working on an Amazon pilot right now. I'll be here till the 16th, and it's really cool. It's I think there's an article on it on Variety. If you go on my Instagram page, you can find a link to it and check it out. But it's based off this podcast called The Horror of Dolores Roach, and it's really cool. It's really cool, man. And it's essentially a modern Washington Heights Latino Latinx retelling of Sweeney Todd.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really
My
cool.
favorite musical.
Yeah, it's mad
Oh.
cool, bro. So it's like it's like the main character, she goes to jail for a while, Dolores Roach, and she gets out of prison, and essentially she's trying to stay afloat in an ever-changing world because Washington Heights right now is very gentrified. It's not the same as it was, and essentially a murder happens, and then I help her cover it up in a very creative way, and that's all I can say.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Awesome,
very
man.
intriguing. I'll be
Yeah.
very interested to
Congratulations.
watch that.
Thank you,
Yeah,
man.
way to go.
Thank you. It should be really cool.
There's so much that I just want to know about you. Let's start at the beginning. You're from Jersey. You're a Jersey
Yeah,
man,
bro.
right?
Jersey.
Okay. Yeah. Born and raised all through.
Born
your
and raised
life,
in Trenton, bro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trenton,
And
Jersey.
then did you pop into the city when you were a kid?
To New York?
Yeah. I mean, was that a thing where you were like, I got to get into that city?
Nah, I mean, not really. I lived for people who are not like familiar with Jersey in general. Like, people always argue about like North and South Jersey, and how there's not such thing as a Central Jersey, where Trenton is the Central Jersey. But I'm like more south. I'm right across from Pennsylvania. So like going to New York wasn't like a big thing. It was like a 2-hour train ride away. So when you said like I'm going to the city, you're talking about Philly. You're talking about going to Philly. That was the city.
Yep.
So I wasn't much of a New York person growing up. I had family scattered in North Jersey for a bit, like in Union City, in North Bergen. But most of my family was in Trenton and Philadelphia area.
Okay.
Allentown over there.
And when you were growing up, was acting in your mindset, in your vision, even though you weren't going over to that city, were you still kind of like, you know what, this is something I'm interested in, or did things kind of happen for you later?
They kind of happened for me a little later. I mean, I know that I always had like a knack for performing. I knew that I liked it. I knew that it was fun to do, but I never like considered it as a real world profession career to like, to support me financially in that aspect. But I know I was a class clown kind of dude. I would just, like get into a lot of trouble, do impersonations of teachers that we didn't like.
Right.
It's like I was a little asshole, you know. So you know, I always liked, I guess you would say I like the attention, but I like to entertain people. It brought me joy to bring people joy in a way.
Yeah.
And that's like when
Yeah.
I look back at it, that's, you know, what it was.
Yeah. Did let me ask you this, because I'm only seeing this now years into into your 30s. You start to become aware of certain things from your past, especially, and like you in school, it's the class clown, the anything for an applause, and it came from this deep desire to be loved, to be accepted. And my stage, which like yours was your schoolmates, your school, that was the venue, and you did what you could do. In terms of getting a reaction, was that coming from something from your past where you deeply did want to be part of something, maybe not the spotlight, but the fact that you were affecting someone? Was that important to you as you were growing up, or was it compensating for anything? That's a loaded question at the beginning of this.
Break it down for me a little bit again. I'm sorry.
So were you channeling something as a kid that fueled your clown isms that was kind of coming from another place, or was it just you just wanted to make people laugh?
Yeah, you know, I think that's I think that's true. I think I definitely was I'm a middle child. I have an older brother and a little brother, and I always kind of like got like the brunt of things. You know, like I was not the oldest one, not the youngest one, so you know, I wasn't responsible enough to, you know any better, but I also wasn't the baby, and it was kind of like this. And I felt like, you know, my older brother is like he's like a Rhodes Scholar. My older brother is like super smart, was a Gates Millennium Scholar. Bill Gates paid for him to go to college, you know, and like he's like he's super super smart. And I was like an average student at best, like solid C- student. So I was like,
my guy.
Yeah, dude, I was a solid C- student.
Not getting a D or an F was the accomplishment.
yeah, that was it. My parents would be like so thrilled that I didn't get like an A or whatever. I didn't get like a D or an F or something like that.
Yeah. Tommy got a B+ for taking him to SNL, right?
yeah, exactly, dude. But you know, so I think that's some of it. Just the need to express. I was just a wild kid. I did and I still do have like ADD. So I'm like all over the place, and like I would be like, you know, be in math class or whatever. Then like I'm looking outside, and there's like these dudes working on a construction, and I'm like 8 years old, and they're doing construction on the playground. And I'm like, I wonder when that guy's gonna have lunch. I wonder if he has a family. I wonder if he has this.
Man.
I was thinking of all these things, and then I would fail like, you know, this division quiz or whatever. You know,
and
so
and this wouldn't matter in conversation, but what you're saying is something that rings true to me. There's a reason for everything. When we think about, my ADD, I used to get so upset at my ADD.
Yeah.
I used to get so upset at my brain for not being able to focus, but all these things that I thought as liabilities turned out to be assets as an actor. So, you know, our audience is a lot of working actors, a lot of aspiring actors, and some people who haven't even thought of aspiring yet. They're just in the beginning throes of it, and they're coming to terms with who they are and in this world and the things that they lack. But really what you find out later in life is the things that you lack ended up being this wonderful asset instead. So I'm sure that your ADD and all the stuff that you quote unquote struggled with as we're getting older into your acting years was actually something that was so beneficial in terms of your determination, persistence, performance, and all that stuff, right? It thrives on the liability that society kind of deems that with ADD and with energy and with all that stuff that kids are just kids, and it's hard to come to terms with who you are. But it's easier when you see that it's actually helping you later in life. So let's jump when you're in high school and you're thinking about what the hell you wanted to do. College is on the horizon. Where are you going? What are you thinking? And how are you getting there?
Okay, so this is an interesting fact. So I neglected to mention, when I was in high school, I played a lot of sports. I played football, played baseball, I wrestled. But one thing I also did though too, that I ended up quitting all sports for, is that I danced really. I did ballet for about 4 years really solidly, and I had like a partial scholarship to go to University of the Arts in Philadelphia, and then I got kicked out because I partied way too hard. just to be honest. But
Again, my guy.
To my defense, it was like that. So that was the plan. I wanted to be a dancer for a very long time. First it was somewhere around like maybe I'll try to be an athlete, then maybe I'll be a dancer, and then that didn't happen, and I got kicked out. And then I ended up going to community college for 2 years, where I was like really just floating around. I was just like not really sure what I wanted to do. I was still depressed at the beginning of school. I was embarrassed. So I was just like, I was kind of like in like, I want to say like going down I wasn't on the wrong path, but I was like taking steps like close to going down a wrong path. And then I met a guy toward the end of my first year, say 2009 it was. I met this guy named Jody Person. And Jody Person is like the head of the theater, like the division at Mercer County Community College. He literally just changed my life. He changed my life. And I always say that. I mean, I've had a lot of mentors, people who I hold very dear, who I confide in, and I trust them with so many things. And that will never change. But the first one was Jody Person. And he saw something in me. He was just like, have you considered this? Have you tried doing this? And I was like, maybe, I don't know. And then then I ended up doing a production of, this is the first part, because it's a 6-hour play altogether. But we did the first part of England in America, Millennium Approaches.
Yeah.
In the first part, and I played Pryor. It was like the first play I ever did. And the first play I ever did was England in America, which is a testament to Jody. Testament to him. Like, well, it's a production full of like 18, 19-year-old kids or whatever. And we go to community college. And a lot of us that went to community college, we didn't have the grades or the discipline or the money to go to a full-time university. But all of those things didn't matter. Like I'm not gonna play down to you just because you go to community college. I'm gonna treat you as if you went to fucking, Harvard. I'm gonna treat you as you went to fucking, Yale School of Drama or something like that. I'm gonna give you stuff like that so you can exercise your imagination. And it set off a whole thing for me. It was like I had so much joy doing it. I had belief in me. It was the first time I had something that was mine. I can do this thing so well, and other people think I can do it well too. And that was just a taking off point. And then after my second year, I transferred to the BFA acting program at Montclair State University. And I did more there.
And how long did you stay there?
I did 3 years at Montclair State. I transferred in, so I started as a sophomore. I was like an older sophomore, but I loved it there. I loved it. I mean, undergrad programs are tricky because a lot of undergrad programs, there's some really, 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 really great ones, and there are some that are like, meh. But I don't think, I guess not that it's any fault of their own, but like the resources are limited, especially if you're like a big school, and like they do the best that they can, but essentially all like BFA acting schools have like basic theory. It's like everything's based on like a basic theory, like check all basic acting technique, and that's what Montclair was, and Montclair gave that to me. What I did realize was the most beneficial thing from going there, but maybe not so much the classes, but the opportunities I had to perform. I was in a play every semester. And that really, really, I maybe I didn't know it, but it really honed in on my ability to command an audience and to, understand the importance of rehearsal and blocking and professionalism, and all that really, really helped me moving forward. And so it wasn't necessarily like acting theory or technique or whatever. It was just like showing up, working on the play, talking about the play, talking about relationships, talking about character, and just practicing. And that's how I think that I learned.
You do not need to go to Yale Drama School to learn how to act. I mean, we can learn it in our backyards, and it's not where you go, it's what you do where you are.
Well, it's like,
right?
There's this, exactly, dude. So, I mean, I was very much on like the grad school road for a while. I was wanted to go like applying to Yale and all these other places and stuff like that. And, I was really like, I felt for the longest time, I need to have the MFA to work. I need If once I have the MFA from this prestigious school or whatever the school is, then I will have all the tools in my tool belt to work, and I'll be prepared and I'll be ready. And I guess as I gotten older, I realized that that's fucking bullshit. You know, it's just like you never really stop learning. I mean, I'm not knocking those schools. They're incredible schools. If you have an opportunity to go. But you know, it's there's other ways. There's not. I think in recent years, I feel like that so many of those schools, or just acting school in general, not even grad schools, because any acting conservatory, any acting educational program, or what you have, they push this thing really hard that you need to train and come here, and like, look who came here, and you want this, you got to come here, and all this kind of stuff. And it's just like, I mean, I understand they have to make your program appealing, so you want to come to it. That's fair. But like at the same time, it's just like, I feel like it's really like, it's really hurt a lot of the psyches of young actors who think they're never going to amount to anything if they don't go to these schools, and they feel less than. And I don't think that's cool. That's just my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. So you had ended up just getting your BA, not
BFA,
just,
yeah.
but you got your BFA rather, and instead of getting your MFA, you got a job right out of college. Apparently, you went to the Actors Theatre of Louisville in Kentucky. You performed a whole season of shows. How did that happen?
Yeah, it was great, man. I was there for 9 months. It was a great experience for me. It was a little difficult in the beginning because I'd never been to, like, I guess the South and the Midwest. It was kind of like weird, you know, being just Kentucky's. Louisville's a great city. Louisville's a great city. Kentucky as a whole is just not my favorite, I guess. But it was great. You know, I got to understudy for a few shows. I was in a show. I was in the production of Peter and the Starcatcher, and that was just a really great experience to work with professionals. And again, this harps on the thing that I think I had tried to mention this, but I had forgot. But I'm coming back to it now. So working with professionals and getting experience, and I think that when I learned that Actors Theater is that acting and just performing in general is such the craft, the education of it is such a word of mouth thing. And so you pass it down, you know, you learn from other performers who are more experienced than you, they help you, and you pass it down to the next people. It's very much this like ancient form of storytelling that you pass down, you know, in that way. And I think it's awesome. And I think I learned that there. And, you know, I was able to, and also what I was able to do there was that I was able to get a better sense of who I was as a person. Because I feel what I learned from there, I learned from another mentor there, Michael Legg, who's fantastic guy. He helped me to realize that, like, you can sell who you are. And I think, because like he had such a range of experience. Like, he was an agent at one point, he's an actor, he ran this program, and he had so many like different, like, he wore so many different hats throughout his life, especially in the industry. So he knew, like, he brought that knowledge with him to us, like how to like talk to agents, how to like dress, like, you know,
That's
how
amazing.
to present yourself, all this kind of things. And I think that he realized, you're from Jersey, you're very New Jersey, you're very inner city, you're very Puerto Rican, you know, and those are things that you can use to your benefit. And just because you are those things doesn't mean you can only play those things, but you can bring those things to whatever you do. And I was just like,
right. The importance of self-awareness and knowing where your muscles are and how well you can work them. Doesn't mean you're going to play those types forever, but to know that type so that you go for that type. You got the headshot that suggests that type. You know how to act that type. And that just comes from being self-aware. And it sounds like this Michael guy was like giving you a crash course in finding out who you are about yourself.
Michael was
what an amazing thing to hear when you just came out of school and you're just starting out, to get that word of advice, like right from the jump, is incredible. You know, I feel like so many times it's like years later somebody might say that to you, but you know, right when you start working, to have those incredible words of encouragement must have just been huge for you.
Yeah, man, it was huge. It was great. I mean, I because, like, I won't lie, like, you know, I, as much as I had like a great experience at Montclair State, I always felt a little self-conscious because like my diction was never that great. You know, I have a very like harsh like Jersey sound. I'm not harsh, but like definitely a Jersey kind of like sentiment to me. And like how like, you know, all that you like you can't always be from Passaic when you're doing a role or whatever. You can't always be from Hoboken or whatever. I'm like, all right, man. So like, you know, and I felt like I felt like kind of like self-conscious that I couldn't like do the, you know, the thing, and I was limited and stuff like that. But like, you know, I think and that might be true, but I also think that the industry is changing a lot. I think that we want to see those things. We don't want you to just like, you know, be so proficient in IPA and hit your vowels and consonants so crisp and sharp. We want to see you, you know, we want to see you. We want to see you, the person with like your scars and maybe your shitty diction and like your mannerisms that are very of this place, you know, or whatever place it is. And I think that's cool. That's really cool. Like we're really like valuing everybody's individuality a lot more these days.
Do you feel that film and TV embraces that much more than theater does? With film and TV, you've got a camera, which is essentially a magnifying glass that allows you to, through your authentic self, portray an authentic person. Because that magnifying glass is right on you, you can't fake anything. You have to be exactly like who you are. With theater, things are a little cleaner, a little crisper, a little perfect. But in film and TV, it seems like they embrace this perfectly imperfect, unique person who maybe doesn't have the most perfect diction because normal human beings might not.
Yeah.
You feel that you kind of nestled into film and TV because of that, because you were imperfect and you were embracing your imperfection?
I think so. I think that's definitely part of it. I do think that theater's changing. I do think that theater is changing, and I think it's becoming you know, little by little, it's becoming more inclusive, and there are more. I mean, it still has a long way to go, but I think it's doing better. But I do think that TV and film is way ahead of theater in that regard. Just because, yeah, like you said, because like there is, you know, I think the camera is such a. People always have this argument: what's harder, theater or TV or film or whatever? And like, they're hard in their own ways. They're hard in their own ways. And I think that what you're saying, like how camera is essentially a magnifying glass, I think that's very true because it captures all these little quirks about you that sometimes get lost in the medium that's in a huge theater like theater, you know? And I think that those are things that camera is able to pick up on that you wouldn't see, and they would get lost in a huge space, you know? And I think that's definitely kind of helped in a way. And also like, you know, the diction, that's like you know, they teach you how to project and like, you know, enunciation and all that in theater. Whereas on like on film and TV, they got a lav mic right here. You don't, you can just fucking whisper like that.
You're not trying to hit the back of the house for the person in the last row.
If you're trying to hit the back of the house, like do the way, tone it down. Because it's all right here. It's gonna hear everything you say.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Okay, so as you are coming to the end of your tenure in Louisville, you've had your at bats, you've had Michael, you know, you've had Jody, and you know, there's a knock at the door saying now you gotta like start to be the actor, and your training is kind of coming to an end. Where are you in terms of what you're feeling about the next step? What did you do to take those next steps? Where did you go from Louisville?
Good question. So when I got out of Actors Theatre, I ended up doing a non-equity company over at Williamstown Theater Festival. So that was another great networking tool, and I met a lot of great folks there as well. But I think when I came back to this, I booked a couple things when I got like, a couple months after I got out of Actors Theatre, little guest spots in there, and I don't think I don't know. I think that I guess kind of like kept trucking. I had like my ups and downs, you know, like I booked like maybe like 3 or 4 guest stars in a row when I got out of Actors Theatre, and I was like, holy shit, yeah, it's fucking sick. Yeah, I got this, bro.
That, by the way, that never happens. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, it was crazy. I was very,
oh
very
my
fortunate.
God.
And then like, for like a good like 6 months after that,
Right.
I was getting auditions because not landing, and I was I ended up doing, I did guest on Blue Bloods, and I did Instinct. I did Instinct that first season. There were like 6 or 7 episodes of that, and that was fine. I was good. And then I did a movie later that year, and then I guess I was still working consistently, but there was a lot of space in between, you know.
Yeah.
But I kept myself busy. I still went to class, you know. I still do go to class. I don't stop going to class. I still do go to class. I have you know, I've taken class at Bob Krakauer, who's like the camera guru.
Great guy. Yeah, great guy.
Great guy.
And where did reps come into the picture for you? Was that like out of Louisville when you were?
Yes. So I was with I wasn't with any. Well, when I first got out of Montclair, we had our little showcase, and I was with a small agency at the time, but like nothing ever happened with them. Then I left. My first 2 years out of Montclair State, between 2013 and 2015, when I went to Actors Theatre, were like fucking like miserable, dude. Like miserable. Like I was like living at home in Trenton and like asking my mom for like money to take the train. I was like busting at Uno's. It sucked. And you know, but then you know, like I said, Actors Theatre happened. But sorry, I lost track of the fucking question.
Oh, where did representation come into the picture?
Yeah. So yeah, sorry. So this showcase for Actors Theatre of Louisville, we had our showcase there, and then Nancy Curtis, who is one of the heads
Hardin
at
Curtis. Hardin Curtis.
Yes, Hardin Curtis.
Yeah.
Now known as Hardin Curtis Kirsten Riley, HCKR now.
Right.
But yeah, so she was there. She saw me in my showcase. She was like, "You're fantastic. I need to sign you right away."
What'd you do for your showcase?
So I did. We did a scene. So Michael Legg, who was at the time, not anymore, but was at the time the head of the professional training company. He had this awesome like way of making showcases, and like he just knew what to do, and he was so smart because at that time, that's like March, April, that's when everybody has their showcase, you know, around like March, April, May, give or take. And he was very smart that he was like, here are all these agents going for this showcase, this actor showcase, blah, blah, blah. How about because our showcase coincides with Humana Festival at Actors Theatre, and Humana Festival is like the biggest new play festival in the country. And so they're going to come see their clients or new clients or potential clients in these shows at Humana Festival. They give us the show at Humana Festival based on like who's in the company, and we have our showcase. So Nancy Curtis was able to see me amongst all these people. And again, it was it's just how great Michael was. And I can talk about him a lot because he really, really helped me in many ways. He really like gave me because like not only are you going to be doing shows for them and stuff like that, you got to learn how to talk to them. You got to talk to them, have a drink with them. Hey, what's up, man? What's going on, man? All that, you know. So that, you know, when Nancy came up to me and said, hey, you know, you were great, blah blah blah, I was able to talk to her and create a rapport and create a relationship, and that really, you know, took things off from there. And she was like, when you come back to Louisville, to New York, look me up. I'll sign you right away.
Isn't it crazy? You've had two people in your life that so informed the trajectory of not only your career, but your life, with the guy at the community college who was like, you got to do theater. And then this guy in Louisville who really taught you the tools to be a professional actor and all this stuff that you still carry with you. It's just incredible.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't spoken to him in a while. I need to reach out to him. I know that he lives in Montana or Wyoming now. I'm not sure, but yeah, he really every time I have a chance to tell him, like, he really like changed the trajectory of my life, and I'm incredibly grateful to you. And yeah, so you know, yeah, I mean, but again, like I still train, and I still train. I have a coach right now who I work with. His name is Gary Perez, and he's the fucking man. Like, yeah. Gary Perez is awesome. Like, he's very similar to Bob Krakauer in a way, and but I found a rapport with Gary because we kind of speak the same language. He's Puerto Rican, I'm Puerto Rican. He's from the Bronx, you know, and like he has a similar upbringing. He didn't go to school or anything like that, but you've probably seen him on every single primetime drama from like 1985 to now. Yeah, like he just, the guy works all the time, and he's just like such a master of craft. He understands behavior so well. He knows what looks good. He really teaches you about the buyers. He always talks about the buyers. Like you got to see what the buyers are seeing. So when you audition, because like, you know, like he's all about like do what it says on the page. The writer wants to see what they did on the page, and a lot of people don't do that sometimes. So he always stresses that. It's kind of, and like, because the buyers want to see you packaged ready to go. Because when you get it, if you get it, what you did in the audition, you got to go ahead and do that on set. So they hired you. They hired you based on your audition. So you got to do that same thing, you know. And I find that really he's just, his efficiency is like incredible. And this is why he's the fucking man. He's been working for fucking ever, you know.
Right.
And yeah. So he's a guy that I definitely, and that's one thing I'll say. Like I think it's incredibly important still to keep training. I don't think that ever really ends. It's never going to end. You have to take some kind of class. You have to like have people watch you. You got to watch other people, because if you watch other people too, like I was helping two of my friends out the other day with this audition yesterday actually, and I loved it because like I first of all, it's flattering that they come to me and ask me for some help, and that makes you feel good and stuff. But also like I learn from them because I get to see what doesn't look good, or I get to see what does look good. You know, hey, you should do
That's a really important thing to say. You know, like whether it's in acting or whatever it is is important to see and experience things that you go, that's not working, and to recognize why it doesn't work. And I think that will inform your work to know, you know what I mean? Like to be aware of things that don't work and why, so that you don't repeat those same mistakes.
Yeah, exactly, dude. That, I mean, it's crucial. It's great. And like you just, it's all like repetition. This whole entire, just getting the reps in, practicing, more practicing. It's all it is, you know.
So you get to New York, you look up HCKR, you start to book. I mean, we've already mentioned it, but that is not usually how it will go. These pretty big role guest stars are pretty big. You know, usually the path is, you know, under fives. If you start as an extra under fives, then you might get a small guest star, maybe a recurring. It kind of flows over the years, but for you, you hit it and you hit it hard. What it's very interesting how quickly things kind of initially rolled for you. What do you think was the deciding factor in you experiencing a bit of success early on? She's like raw goddamn talent.
No.
You're like, because I'm incredible?
Because I'm fucking good. Yeah.
Shit. No, I'm just kidding. Because I'm dope and I do dope shit.
Done.
No, man. I think, you know what it is, dude? I think well, success is fleeting, like ebbs and flows, peaks and valleys. I guess it was confidence. I think it was a really overpowering confidence in who I am as a person. I think this is what it was. I had so much after like Montclair and Louisville, a bit of Williamstown, just auditioning and meeting people and working with people, and like, you know, having people, you know, like what I do. I think I went in there like guns blazing when I first came out, and I was so overwhelmingly confident in what I was.
And this is a confidence that isn't walking around with the biggest dick in the room. It's you coming in with that inner conviction, that quiet power, that quiet confidence inside, that there's no sense of desperation. There's vulnerability, but it's also this idea that you know who you are and you know that you belong here, and that's good.
Do you know what the thing is? You know what? I think a lot of young actors sometimes, and I lose sight of this too, you know, you get to constantly remind yourself of this. But I think people have like, man, auditions kind of suck. They kind of suck. It's a flawed process, because sometimes auditioning is not really acting. You know, they're two different things. It is a flawed process, but it's the only process that we have right now, you know? And I think what I find interesting, I think what people have to do is that you have to learn how to love auditioning, because you gotta rewire your brain to think about it like this. There's a good 5 minutes where you get to do the thing that you love. You get to act, you know? That is your time. It is nobody else's time.
Absolutely.
And it's the thing that you love to do the most. So if it's 5 hours or 5 minutes, you get to do it, and you do it, and you leave. And there's power in that. There's power in just mic dropping that shit, or just going outside and just like ripping up your fucking sides after and throwing in the garbage. And you go off and done.
Yep.
That's it. Or what I love to do, I love to go ahead and like, if I have
set it on fire.
Yeah, set it on fire. No, what I like to do personally is that I love, I always think of I always have a plan afterwards. So like, so I don't make the audition. I make it, it's fun. It's this thing I get to do. I get to act, but it's also not my whole day, you know? So I'm going to go and audition for this thing. And afterwards, yeah, I'm going to get a beer with my buddy, Paul Pills, my man, Paul, you know? Shout out to Paul Pills.
And what are you doing in that way? You are making the audition less important. You're not caring about it, but you're making it less important so that there's something else that you're actually looking forward to. So you're out of your head. You're just doing the next thing you're on your way to the next thing that you're actually looking forward to.
Yeah. And I wish, like, you know, I would love someone, people always like bust my chops about this shit, but they're just like, oh, like, but I honestly like really would like to teach one day. I would love to teach on some like collegiate level or something, because I feel that a lot of, not all, but a lot of undergrad programs, they don't teach you about the business of acting. They teach you about technique and all this stuff like that, and all this kind of stuff and craft, which is important. But I think that, you know, there's like, they also create like this anxiety level, you know, and they make everything so precious. And all these kids get so worried. I'm like, oh my God, my hair has got to be right. My character shoes have to be clean. You know, my mom got to be on point. You know, it's just like, and it's just like takes the fun out of it. This
neurotic, some weird perspective that they're just taught.
Are you guys from New York? You guys from New York, right? Correct? Yeah. Dude, have you ever been to Pearl Studios? Have you ever experienced anything more exciting?
Yeah. Oh my God, walk the halls. Walk the halls of Pearl Studios.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
I'm just
you ever want to feel better about yourself? Jiminy Christmas.
Dude, I've gone in for auditions there plenty of times, and I'm seeing all these people just waiting, just like, you know, stretching and doing their mom with talking to themselves in the corner. And it's like, holy fuck, I need to get out of here. I'm gonna kill myself, dude. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Right, right. I'm with you 100%. You know, we're launching this thing called Working Actor Pro, and our thing is, drama school teaches you how to act. We teach you how to make a living at it. You know, like the business of it, to make it as a living. You don't learn that in college. You learn theory. You learn technique, and that's all well and good. But what I saw when I went to New York is I was in workshops with people who were names on those Broadway stages, who walked into a film and TV audition in a Krakauer or a Ted Slubersky, and they didn't know what the hell they were doing. They don't know how to do their taxes. They don't know about side jobs. They don't know how to thrive. They don't know how to run their own business as a business with them being a product. And the sort of idea that this business is commercial. And so when you understand that and you accept that really hard reality, it's easier, because when you're in a show and it ends, it doesn't hit you hard. You know that show ended because of money. When my episode I got written down to 2 scenes instead of 5 for a guest star, that didn't matter about that. It wasn't my talent that did that. It wasn't that they didn't like me. It was the fact that they needed to save $35,000. So instead of shooting the scene, they wrote it out in exposition. So knowing about that commercially and the business end of it, it kind of takes that neurotic, is my hair perfect kind of way about that perspective. It takes it down to saying, hey, it's just money. I didn't get it because I'm 5'2" and the other actor is 6'1". And you know, we've mentioned this before. There's a reason for everything, and it's not about you.
It's not about you, and it's also just like, and again, that's power in that. You get to do the audition, you get to do the thing that's the only thing that you can control, and you get to be like, you might be the fucking best actor, like, oh my god, that fucking guy and fucking Tommy was fucking amazing, he was so fucking good. But you know what, he's got like this, you got red hair.
It sometimes comes in, sure, a little strawberry, yeah.
He's got strawberry blonde hair, but I really want a guy with black hair. I need a guy with black hair, and you can't do anything about that.
It's utterly out of your control, and I think everybody just gets caught up on
my sides on fire, right? I don't give a shit.
Everyone gets caught up on, oh, I was rejected and I'm not talented, and a lot of times it just has shit to do with things you have no control over.
Yeah,
and it could be a whole list of shit that has nothing to do with your audition or how good you are. And sometimes it is shit like that. Well, we just want somebody a little bit taller, or we want somebody a little bit shorter, or we have this scene and all these people look like this. Why don't we bring somebody who looks different, just to like mix up the image? You know what I mean? Like, it's just shit that you can't do anything with.
Yeah. And also the idea that it is a business. So if I'm in a market and things aren't rolling, well, maybe it's the wrong market for me as a product. If my product is out there in a market and it's not doing well, what about trying another market? If I look like this and I act like this and I'm into this type of medium, well, maybe I'm not in the right market for this type of medium, the way that I look, the competition that's currently there. There are people who have been in New York for 8 years and they don't get much under anything other than under fives. Then they move to LA and boom, guest star, boom, guest star. Why? Because they look a certain way, because they're not in a theater town. It's about running a business and knowing there are dips. It isn't that I haven't booked in a year because I'm not good. It's, well, this is my dip year. And to understand the ebbs and flows of this business, you stick it in, and it's all about staying around and understand that as the business. It's
an algorithm. Like, I don't know who had told me this. I guess had so many like great people like over the years had gave me so many wonderful tidbits of advice. What was this? I'm not quite sure. I don't remember. But he had since passed away. But I did a reading with him at a regional theater when I first got out of college. His name was Rodney Gilbert. He's a theater maker, director, actor based out of Newark, New Jersey. Incredible man. Great man, has given so much to that city and meant so much to that city. So like, he's a great dude. But he told me one time, he was like, you got to stick it out, because there are ebbs and flows, like you said, and it's like there's gonna come a point where you're gonna be 30 something, 35, whatever, and then you're not gonna necessarily know it. But what is gonna happen is that pool of talent that you were in when you first got out of college, it was here, now it's here. Because a lot of people left. A lot of people leave. A lot, like, and the pool does in a way get smaller. And you just stick it out, the opportunities are gonna come, as you get older. You have to stick. I mean, that used to be the case, unfortunately, just for men. But I think we're at a time now where that case is becoming better, and it is happening for women. We're not discriminating against age, in that aspect, because unfortunately that happens to a lot of women, But I think now it's becoming more inclusive, that everybody can work into their later years and get consistent work, and get great work. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah. To understand the 10-year plan that I had, I knew that I would have 20 years before things really started rolling the way I want to.
Yeah.
So to know that, like, hey, I'm halfway of this entire plan that's going to span a long, long time, and to know I'm in it for the long run, that's just your knowledge as a business owner saying, I'm in it for the long run. I'm not here for the weekly bookings. I know that later down the line, when competition starts going, I'll be able to really capitalize. And that's good. That's good that you knew that. I'm sure that helped you in times of those low points as the years went on. Were there points where you just went without work?
Yeah,
and you had to just deal with it.
I went on unemployment. I took up a couple bartending shifts.
Right.
I had a bunch of odd jobs, especially when I was living in Jersey City for a bit. I had a lot of ups and downs and stuff like that, and I guess it was you know, it was it kind of one thing that happened was that I was talking about I went home to my parents' house sometime. It was a few years back, and I was like, I was at a point where I was kind of like, I was a little depressed, and I wasn't like, it was before I got New Amsterdam. It was like the summer of 2018, like May, June, something like that. And I went back home, and I was like depressed. I hadn't like worked in like almost a year at that point. It was like almost like, it was like at least 9 months. And I was like, I'm getting on. Are you getting on? My dad was like, you getting auditions? I'm like, yeah, I'm getting auditions. And he's like, what happened? I was like, well, I'm not booking. I'm not booking them. And he's like, well, it's all right. You gotta stick in it because you know you're at a point now, son. You can't do anything. You're in it, man. You can't do anything else. I know you.
You can't back out now, right?
But it was funny because it sounds like
you can't move back here.
But actually, I was like, oh, Dad, thank you for believing in me. Like, I know this is what I want to do. He's just like, well, I mean, you can always do whatever, but I'm just saying, you're like almost 30. You can't do anything else now, man. You got to stick with this thing. But like, which is like still a good thing. Which it was still a positive thing. I took. I'm like, I got this far. I cannot leave.
Yeah,
I have to keep going. You know.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, man. You got to take the hits and keep on trucking.
That's all you can do. And I mean, if it is something that you're like, this is all I want to do, it must be way more important than being the success is finding out, I guess. And I've never really been able to explain this, but at least for me, the idea of knowing that I tried was way better than never trying at all.
Yeah.
You know, so even if I went out for it and it was just a couple of roles, and that would be okay because I could not accept the idea of wondering what if, like, could it have happened, right? So it has to be just more important. And of course, as you go, you book and you get more validation, and every booking, every new credit is a reason to stay longer. And then you fall in love with the very procedure of it. And it's not about the booking, it's about how it's fueling you as a person. And I'd rather be fucking poor living under a bridge doing this than having loads of money and that house and what everybody wants, doing something that I wasn't supposed to do. So you pretty much were convinced all throughout this time, this was what I wanted to do. It doesn't matter if I'm working or if I'm not. This is my thing.
Yeah, I think that was it for me. I was just like, I was hell-bent on making sure that I stayed in this, and I stayed in it for as long as possible. And you know, that like, and it's important to have a good support system, you know, like I've always surrounded myself with people who are great and who are in the same boat as I am and are supportive, and a lot. And I also have a lot of friends who are like not in the business at all, who are like, you know, they got like real jobs. Not our job isn't real, you know what I mean? Like they have things that are more stable, and they don't understand like our industry and our business. But that's also, I love that because because they're going to support me no matter what. And it just grounds myself too, because they don't give a shit about if I book this thing or that. They don't give a shit about that. You know?
Yeah, well, you're a real person. If you're hanging out with real people, and that's the problem with a lot of actors who come off of their MFA programs, they haven't been around normal people, so they don't know how to act like normal people. They know how to act like actors around actors, which is awful always.
Ooh,
but they don't know how to be a cop because they don't have any cops. They don't know how to be all these characters that they're going out for because they don't know any of them.
Just a dude, you know, just to be a person in the world. There was something that was really cool about like
just a dude.
I remember like Bob Krakauer, he said this really cool thing one time, and he was just like, you have to understand that like 99% of the people that are gonna watch you on TV, they're not gonna care we went to fucking school at. They're not gonna care if you hit this beat or that beat. If you ask anybody like, oh, why do you like this guy? Why do you like this particular actor or this particular actress or whatever? And their answer 99% of the time they'd be like, because they were believable. I believed them. That's it. Because they were real.
That's why Soderbergh always uses real people for any of his movies. It's always a cop is a cop, a nurse is a nurse. You know, those make sometimes the best actors.
Yeah, I mean, because they're just in it. They just have to be. You know. Yeah.
What was the thing that as things were growing and progressing, what was the booking that kind of started to change things for you, your trajectory?
I would say New Amsterdam. Yeah. I think that would be it. I mean, New Amsterdam was pretty freaking awesome, man. Like,
talk about how you got into that.
Oh, so like I was supposed to do a play at that time at Yale Rep, which is a play that I fucking loved. And I was like, I did like a workshop of it, and I was so excited to do it. And then literally like 2 days before I had to leave to go do this play, I literally I get this audition, and then the day before I have to go, the audition to Amsterdam, and I book it. I book it in Dave Capillaretti's office, who's one of the fucking best fucking casting directors in all of New York. He's such a cool dude. Yeah, he came in, and he would, and Dave Cap would always bring me in for a lot of things. He'd always bring me in for like a play, a lot of plays, a lot of New York theater, and I would get like really, really far in a lot of things. Like, sometimes this wouldn't go my way, and this one wouldn't go my way, and just like it's just things that just happened, like missed the mark sometimes. But I got this audition, and but another lesson: just come in there, be prepared. If somebody likes you, that's a win.
Right.
If somebody likes you, you won the audition.
Yep.
You won it because they're gonna bring you back for more things, And he brought me in for this thing, and I got it. And it was supposed to be like a 3-episode arc, a 3-episode gig, and then it ended up just becoming 44 episodes over the course of
incredible
3 years, because they just kept writing me in, like, we like this guy, we like him, I like him. So I'm super, super grateful for them for doing that. And I think that's when I started to see things that kind of changed a little bit. Like I got more noticed, and they gave me a lot of material. They started giving me more material where I can really act and do my thing and stuff like that. And then I also noticed that the auditions I would get after that were more higher profile things. So I was only getting series regulars. So I was only getting recurring after that part as the role expanded.
Yeah, you got promoted essentially.
Yeah, essentially. And then now I'm here working on this pilot, and I hope it goes well. This is a project that right now that I'm involved with right now, that I'm just oh my God, I'm just so beyond thankful to be a part of it. And it's just a cool concept, it's just it's I've dreamed of working on things like this, and when you're actually doing it, it's man,
cool. When fantasy becomes reality, it's the most intense thing in the world, because we can dream all day, but once things start to take place and shift and actually come to fruition, it is somewhat of an out-of-body experience when you catch yourself in certain situations where you dreamt about this, you laid in bed thinking about being here. And Adam, you had a great quote a couple of episodes ago about saying what you're doing now was at one point a dream to you, whatever it is. And that will really usher in gratitude, no matter what role you have, is whatever you're doing. At one point you weren't doing that, and that was just a dream. And go ahead.
No, I'm just saying it's an important word you just said. It's having gratitude, dude. Just being mindful and grateful for all the things you have. It's every time, I never forget, whether I'm doing something or about to, if I'm having the worst day on set, I'm I'm just so tired, nothing's going right, I feel so stupid, everybody thinks I suck, I don't want to be here right now, all stuff like that. I always just pull that back and just you're gonna have bad days, you're just, it's work, you're not gonna have, everybody has a bad day at work, but you get to pull yourself back, and I'm just man, I could be still bussing fucking tables at who knows right now. I could be serving beer, dude, and this
industry is all about goals, and it's every position you're in, every year you have certain goals, and it's I'm certainly not where you're at now, but I look at what I'm doing now and I'm oh my God, I remember years ago when I was I just want to get a fucking audition, or I just need reps so I can do that, or God, I just want to blah, 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 blah. And then you get to a certain point and you look back and you're I am right now where I wished I was years ago. And 5 years from now, I'm going to be somewhere that today I wish I would be. You know what I mean? So it's always so important to look back and go, you're doing okay. You know what I mean?
It actually reminds me of one of my favorite Oscar speeches. And a lot of people fucking shit on it because
Cuba?
What?
Cuba Gooding?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say, because that was the wildest great gratitude speech I've ever heard. Go ahead.
my favorite one, they remind me of what you had just said, dude. And it's Matthew McConaughey's speech.
Oh yeah.
wait, he's like, well, who do you want to be when you grow? I want to be who my hero is. It's me 10 years from now. Then I reach 10 years. Who's your hero? Me 10 years from now. He's like, you're never gonna stop chasing that thing. You got to keep
Totally.
chasing that thing. You know, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Really
And
great.
I bet your past self is thanking you for just sticking it out and jumping off that cliff with or without that parachute. You didn't care. You were jumping. And we do need to I do need to remember my 14-year-old self who was sitting in that Indiana house, laying on that bed, thinking, how the hell is this all going to happen? I want to do this, but how? Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we honor their past selves by continuing in our present.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely, dude. Amen. Amen to that.
And our future. So all those episodes in that show, I mean, things started to change for you, and as they progress more into this post-COVID world, you're on set right now. You're obviously making things happen. What do you look for in the future? What do you want to do, and how are you going to go about doing it? Or you just want to keep doing what you're doing here with more frequency and more exposure and better projects?
I mean, yeah, I mean, that's the second part is, the end goal, but obviously, I want to, be able to get to a spot where I can try to to have some kind of influence, where I could have a platform to make a specific difference. My little brother has autism, and I'm really keen on special needs and autism awareness and all stuff like that. And that's something that's really close to me. My dad is works at a social. My dad works. He's the boss of a social services firm in Trenton. And he's one of my heroes. He's an incredible guy, and his social service firm is specifically geared to the Latin American community in Trenton and greater New Jersey. So immigration reform, mass incarceration, things like ESL classes, all these things that have to that are really hurting not just Latin American communities, but immigrant communities in general. He's really forward about that, and he's done so much for those communities, and that's something I wish to do when I have a platform to be more I would love to have my own production company to open it up to various groups from Latinx communities or Black communities or Manasa communities, and just have really inclusive, just give them the free reign. I got the money, bro. Do what you want. Just do what you want, man. Do what you want, and I just want to be able to do that, and just be able to give them more of a voice. That's always, but I need to get there first, but that's definitely one of the end goals, is to have everybody, just have a production company, honestly, where everybody get that you want to do a movie, you want to do a series, here you go.
Done. Here's the money.
Yeah.
Does that come from the world and its rewards that it's given to you, and this idea that you have been given so much in this world, and now we're at an age kind of where we start to look introspectively and say what am I doing here, and am I leaving this world better than when I found it? And this idea you do affect people, and the idea that you can help people, and that kind of shifts your priorities, and now you're wanting to give, you're wanting to give. And I think that's just from being given so much. Do you agree?
Yeah, man. I know. I 100% agree. And it's I also think, the generation after us, young generation, I like to fucking bust their chops sometimes and whatever. But you know what? I do it because I kind of realize deep down that they're kind of better than us, they kind of they just have a more sensitivity to the things in the world and other people. And I just based on how I grew up, it was just you gotta be a guy, you gotta fucking do this, do that,
right?
You gotta but now as I get older, and I'm not a fucking douchebag as I was in my 20s, sometimes you mature, and you grow the fuck up, and you realize that the shit you did or didn't do was just was nonsense, and you realizing that your time on earth, 30, you're not old yet, but you're realizing you get up some mornings, bro, your back don't work the way it used to, your knees hurt, doing some calisthenics or whatever, and you're getting older, and you have to be more mindful of the world around you, and be okay, how can I just do a little thing, just a little tiny thing to make somebody's life easier and to give gratitude out. Because when you give, because it's like, everybody wants to, like, give and like worry about this, but it's not. It's like when you give and you are mindful to somebody, you are more sensitive, you're gonna get that back. You'll get it back too. You give sensitivity to this person, you won't get it back. Gratitude to this person, the gratitude's gonna come back. And you just have to like realize that it's all harmonious in that way. I think for me, it happened when I was like older, and like I'm still trying to do better, but I'm not where I'm at right now. I'm glad that I know that now.
Yeah. Do you think that if you weren't an actor, based on Ale, like who he is, what he's prone to do, I feel like I connect with you on a very deep level from where we were in our adolescence in terms of getting into trouble and getting kicked out because of drinking and partying and all that stuff. People in my family used to say, if it weren't for acting and leaving town, I would have died. I mean, I would have died. Why? I would have gotten into trouble. I would have drank too much. I would have taken over the bar and I would have run into the ground. If I didn't have acting, I would not be the person I am today in every aspect. And it's allowed me to grow in a certain way. Knowing you and knowing how you work and how you think, did acting help you grow in terms of your character and maturity, and what would have happened if you didn't act?
If I didn't act, I'd probably just be in my hometown right now, like fucking living in a fucking like a fucking studio apartment, drinking and being depressed as shit.
Right.
Right. Honestly. But acting gave me that sensitivity. Acting gave me a worldliness. Acting gave me access to people that I would have never met had I had not left my hometown. And that worldliness has made me a better person, because if you're sticking around people that just look like you and act like you all the time, what the fuck are you even doing? You're not growing. You're not growing. You're not becoming a better person. You're not becoming a more sensitive person. You're not becoming a more cultured person. You have to, and sometimes it's scary. It's fucking scary sometimes because it's unfamiliar. We always fear things. It's natural reaction. I care what nobody says. You always fear shit that you don't know. It's just a natural human reaction. But you have to take the leap of faith and get to know that, because that's how things are going to get better. That's how things, meld together. That's how we become better people. That's how we become better people. We become a better society. We have a better society. We have a better country. We have a better country, a better world. It's slow. It's painstakingly slow. None of us are going to fucking see it in our lifetime. But you have to trust it, and that it's going to pass on when we're gone,
Couldn't have said it better myself. All right, we know that there's a
man.
bunch of stuff that you're working on. We've already mentioned, but where can we find the next big project that you're in?
Oh, so stay tuned for New Amsterdam. Still, I'm still working on New Amsterdam. Right now, filming this project right now, and trying to see where that goes. I'm still in quarantine. So we haven't some production. We're just having a lot of meetings right now and stuff like that, but it's going to be awesome. You can find me on Instagram. I'm just really I deleted my Facebook a while ago. So I'm just on Instagram. I'm all lowercase, Alejandro.R.Hernandez. You can find me. Cool.
Lovely.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. This was great.
Oh, thanks, Adam. Thank you guys for having me, man. It was good to talk with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're a wealth of information, man, and you've had wonderful experiences. I think you're going to help out a lot of people. So we're grateful that you came on.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me. And like, if you're, when I'm back, let's get a fucking beer or something,
Done.
Great. Let's do it.
Yeah. Sounds great.
All right,
Thank you
man.
for stopping by, man.
Of course, guys. Thank you so much. Take care.
Later.